Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News for Friday Night Livestream. I hope everyone has had a lovely week. Wonderful week. We've had lots of interesting news happening, lots of things going on in the world of politics, the world of President Trump, the man who I believe is anointed by God to come and save us, not only America, but the world. If I could I please get a 5x5 in the audience? Everyone can just tell me that they see me. Aaron Morris. My mom's in the audience. Good evening, everybody. How you doing? How is everybody doing? Ditka's Bears 2 already with the super chat. Thank you, my friend. I do appreciate that. Dana Finkler. All right. Muffin 5x5. Newport News, Louisiana, Alberta, Canada. Good day from Queensland, Kentucky. Good evening, everyone. We're going to throw on the slow chat real quick because I already see that the words are flying by on the screen. Let's see. Everybody, tell me where you're from. We got Florida. Sound is a little low. Well, let me get a little bit closer to the mic. How's that? How's that? Real Red Pill Mom, you didn't miss anything yet because we haven't done much. I'm just saying hello to my friends here in the chat. All right, you guys like this? I got the music going. We got Ohio, NorCal, Indiana, Scotland, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Southern California, Indiana, Mayberry, North Carolina, Cape Cod, Louisiana, Maine, Antarctica, Yorkshire, UK, Texas, Pluto, saw Pluto, a couple of Plutos, Scotland, Atlanta, Michigan, Washington State, Missouri, Sanford, Florida, Nashville, New York, Upper Peninsula in Michigan, Minnesota, Seattle, Kansas, and Oregon, New York, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Scotland. Several people from Scotland tonight. How are my brothers in Scotland doing? Louisiana, Mars, Georgia, San Diego, California, New Mexico, Missouri, Northern Florida, Greta Van Fleet, Michigan, always from Michigan, Colorado, the oldest city, St. Augustine, Florida, Washington, D.C., 29 Palms, Pennsylvania, Washington State, Minnesota. All right. Queensland, another Queensland. Good evening, my Australian brothers and sisters. Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to Red Pill 78. This is Friday Night Livestream, and I hope everyone's having a wonderful time already. We have a special guest for you guys tonight, my good friend Smart Meter Rob. He's got a YouTube channel called Stop the DTE Monopoly. Rob is a bit of a smart meter activist. He went on a crusade of sorts against DTE energy in his home city, which I don't know if we're going to say what state he's from. Actually, I think it's going to come out when we look at his YouTube channel. It's all over there. But Rob's going to come in just a minute. But first of all, I've got a couple of quick stories from Twitter I wanted to go over. Now, you guys heard about this incredible bust that happened in Los Angeles. They seized over 1,500 GUNS. Not going to say it out loud because I don't want to get smacked for promoting violence, because I'm not. This is merely a news channel. This is news. Well, my friend Joe M. on Twitter said, "Are these recent stories linked?" In 2012, the Republican-controlled House sued AG Eric Holder for documents pertaining to the mysterious disappearance of over 1,500 of these implements. But this Obama-era judge blocked the release of the documents. That was fast and furious. You guys know about that? Or you, the flag emoji is not blocked. If you look just above you, my good friend Patriot Lady Biker posted a flag just before you. So something is going on with your setup there, my friend. I don't know what that's about. So right here, this was a judge, an Obama-era judge. She blocked the release of these documents having to do with Fast and Furious. Well, they appealed, but it dragged on for years, even as Trump replaced DOJ positions in 2016 and House Dems flipped in 2018. Now, it was announced today, this was yesterday, both parties finally settled with an agreement that the judge's rulings would not be a binding precedent in future cases. Now, AG Barr has a subpoena, And this settlement is a win for duplicitous Democrats who've been released from the precedent that protected Holder on Fast and Furious, which allowed them to pursue Barr for the unredacted Mueller report. It was kind of a sneaky gambit, he says. But check this out. At the same time as this settlement announcement, what do you know? A huge stash of GUNSs were found hidden in California. Could these be the missing GUNSs from the Fast and Furious? Could Eric Holder's Fast and Furious scam be coming back into light? Now, if you remember and look back to post 1701, it said Eric Holder, California, relevant soon. This drop was dated April 7th, 2018, and the settlement was decided on April 9th, 2018, a year plus a 2-day delay. Could the discovery of these implements of war in California be linked to Holder coming back into the news? He is hoping for a proof to come out soon, and so am I. Now, that house was owned by a very interesting woman. She is the mistress of this guy named Getty, who's related to John Paul Getty. Let's see. Getty. I didn't have this pulled up. I'm sorry about that. So here it is right here from KTLA. The scene was straight out of a B movie. A rundown mansion, Tony neighborhood, anonymous tip, the whiff of celebrity, and a jaw-droppingly large cache of weapons of some questionable legality. Investigators with the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives descended on the Taddy Bel Air mansion along with members of the Los Angeles Police Department in the early morning darkness. What they found there Wednesday was both lethal and perplexing. The sprawling white clapboard house, 2 stories, 5 bedrooms, hidden behind a discolored gate and a tall hedge, was in complete disarray. Guns were everywhere in what authorities described as a hoarder's paradise in the 100 block of North Beverly Glen. There were AR-15-style, military-style automatic rifles, what appeared to be a World War II-era Thompson machine gun, 44-caliber handguns, .357 Magnums, long guns with intricately carved stocks, an Uzi 9mm, complete with a silencer, and a 9mm Luger. So this is not just a bunch of these things here. The guy that was arrested right here, what is his name? It was Gerard Damien Sains, and he owned not this house, but he owned another house with this woman who's the mistress of Getty. And why can I can't recall her name right now, but we're going to go back to Twitter here now because another house was also raided that they co-owned together, and here is the footage of that right here. This was in Chinatown. It's not for gangs, you guys. These were very rich people, all right? So I think that these people are connected to the whole Fast and Furious thing, and these were being stored for a day when perhaps they would be needed in case, the government had to come in and take care of some business in California. Let's go ahead and take a look at this again. So this is just some random footage from outside the house before it was raided in the early morning hours. And I don't know if they found more things there, if they found more guns, I don't know. But we'll have to take a look. Now, real quick, I also wanted to show you guys this pretty epic video of A.G. Barr and Rod Rosenstein on stage. Now, I'm just going to let it play. Let's take a look.
There's a matter that I feel has to be resolved before Rod leaves the building. Rod, could you come up, please, and stand next to me?
Take my position.
Yeah, up next to me. There's been a debate raging for the last few months, and I think we have to get it resolved and decided tonight. And that is, which one of us is capable of the most deadpan expression? Now, I know this is a little unfair because I do my best work in the hearing, in congressional hearings. Rod does his standing behind the Attorney General at press conference. So, what do you say? Is it Rod or me? Rod?
20 minutes.
So the farewell send off for Rod Rosenstein was just earlier, and tomorrow is his official last day, or I guess maybe that's the day that he's just not going to be here. But yeah, I thought that the interaction between Rod and Bill Barr was kind of telling. Now, Rod also had some interesting stuff to say when he gave his speech and he was leaving. We'll go over all that stuff a little bit later on in the program. But first, we are going to bring in my guest right here. Rob, stop the DTE monopoly. Let me get him on the horn. Trisha Nordby, thank you very much for that super chat. There's a slight delay, Rob.
Sorry about that. I was
It's okay.
trying to make my way down here.
Okay, not a problem, buddy. Let me give me just 1 second. I want to make sure that we've got everything, all of our ducks in a row here.
Sounds good.
Okay, all right, we're good. Everyone, well, first of all, I'd like to introduce the audience to Rob. How are you today, Rob?
Doing all right.
Excellent, buddy. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to thank you for coming on the show. I think this is going to be a great conversation. So what is it, first of all, that you're comfortable telling people about yourself? How would you introduce yourself? I said you're a bit of a smart meter activist. Would you consider yourself to be an activist?
Somewhat. Basically, I was never really comfortable with any of the smart meter stuff, but it ended up becoming a vendetta.
Okay. So this all started when DTE sent you a notice, right? And they said, we're going to be installing a smart meter on your home. Now, I guess perhaps it would be good to maybe just give the audience a definition of a smart meter. We don't want to assume that everybody understands what that is, but a smart meter is an electric meter or a gas meter, something for the utility company. It's on the outside of your house, and rather than having a traditional dial system on it where someone has to walk up and actually check your readings from month to month.
An analog.
Yes, an analog. This isn't digital, and it's being transmitted to the power company or to the gas company by way of a particular radio frequency. Now, they can be 3G, they can be 4G, they can be 5G. I just got a notice myself that they're going to be putting in smart meters at my house, and there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I could pay them money to not do it, and then I could keep paying them money every month for them not to do it. But whatever. I'm gonna look into how to shield myself from that stuff. But what was the kind of smart meter they were putting in at your house?
What were they? They were, I believe they were the Itron models. Another name that was on them is Openway. They had multiple versions of them, like different generations.
Okay.
But they were all pretty much the same. I'm not sure why they ended up having new generations. I don't understand the whole deal on that. I just look for radio frequencies.
Okay, and what kind of frequencies were they broadcasting on the ones they put in for you?
Well, there was 2 radios in them, and what was broadcasting to DTE was the 800 and 900 megahertz band, and then there was a secondary radio that was called the Zigbee radio. That's what you would set up your. It's a module that you would tie into your home network, Wi-Fi, and that went off the Zigbee band, and that would connect to your smartphone, tell you relatively real-time usage. Man, that's a bad echo.
Are you hearing yourself?
I'm hearing myself somehow, so it's messing me up.
All right.
So there was a two bands, the 800 and 900 megahertz band, and then there was a 2.4 gigahertz band for the Zigbee radios.
And what's a Zigbee radio?
The Zigbee radio was what you would use to connect your smartphone to your smart meter and your home network, any smart appliances, any smart home things you might have. That's what that would connect to.
So you started looking into smart meters, and what did you find? You know, what gave you pause?
The wireless radiation, which is actually microwave radiation. That was where I was like, whoa. We all have known, like, since we were kids, you don't stand near a microwave when it's on.
Right. Right. That's like the first thing they tell you.
Right. Why would I put one on the back of my house that I can't turn off?
God, yeah. Okay. So I watched some videos of you. I'm going to go over to your YouTube channel right now for the audience so they can take a look at that, you guys. But here's Rob's YouTube page. It's called Stop the DTE Monopoly. If you guys want to check that out, all you have to do is, after the show, go down to the description of this video, and you can click that link. You can also get a link over to, looks like an advocacy website called We Are the Evidence. Did you have anything to do with this website, or is this just a source for you?
It's a source, and I did meet Daphne personally. Super nice individual, more brain power than probably 10 of us put together. She is phenomenal.
Right.
She was ex-Israeli military. She is a lawyer in New York and in Israel, and she's traveling the country right now. I believe she's in California doing seminars on wireless radiation and the dangers of it.
Okay. Now, looking at you taking meter readings, basically here, you're checking for the amount of RF or microwave radiation or frequencies that are coming out of this smart meter.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a significant difference between the readings that you get outside the house and what you get inside the house?
Yeah. Depending on how your house is set up, aluminum siding is actually like one of your best friends in keeping it out. But if you've got a Wi-Fi router or a 5G router inside your house, you're basically inside the Faraday cage at that point, and it's just bouncing all over you.
Oh, so you're saying that like the fact that you're inside the house, that captures those waves and it amplifies them?
If you have like an aluminum sided house.
Holy jeez. Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, you got to be very careful about how you want to shield yourself from stuff like that. You don't want to intensify it trying to, kill the signal.
Right. Okay. So when you're, let's say you do have an aluminum siding on your house, what kind of an amplification are we talking about if you've got a smart meter? Like how much? Like what's an average reading on the outside? And then what might you expect if you went and saw somebody's home with aluminum siding? There's
so many different variables. I really couldn't tell you.
Okay. But enough to scare you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in your research and in your time, going out and looking at smart meters, what could you, or have you ever found anything that would be, a good enough shield to stop that frequency from coming inside the house? Is there anything you can do?
Yeah, if you actually have the smart meter and your local power company, wherever you may be, does not offer you an opt-out, which would be a radio off meter that they would have to come out and manually read. Mm-hmm. I tried getting these guys to donate one to the cause, and they weren't having it. I hate to plug them, but the product did work. It was the Smart Meter Guard. Mm-hmm. And they do have a website, and it's like, I think it was like $130 for it.
Okay. All right. So that helped. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so let's actually talk about what happened to you. So you heard you were getting a smart meter. You did some research. You decided it was not something you wanted. And,
right.
And so what was your first move? What did you do?
Well, I contacted them and told them I didn't want the smart meter, that I would much rather prefer having the opt-out meter, but that I wanted to be home when it was installed.
Okay.
And they didn't want to work with me on a schedule type thing. And like every other American, I've gotta work and help feed a family here. So I'm like, well, they can just wait until I am home, and maybe they catch me on a sick day or something. Till then, I'm kicking the can down the road, but it's not going on.
So how long were you able to, to kind of put that off and have them not install the smart meter?
About 3 years.
I bet you they were not happy about that.
No, they were. They made me pay somewhat.
Okay, all right. Well, tell us about that situation. What happened?
Okay, well, I had also secured my meter. I put an angle iron guard on it with the shackle lock. A guy like me could defeat that lock, but most of the techs at DTE don't have the equipment on the truck to do that. Mm-hmm. So that kept them from coming and taking the meter. They cut me off at the pole about a week after they cut my mother off for the same thing, because I told her, don't take that meter, and she did the same thing. So they cut me off, and it was past the November 1st deadline, which is illegal in Michigan because of the cold temperatures.
Right, right.
And yes, the bill was paid, for anybody saying you got to pay your bill. So yeah, I was without power for about 4 days before they finally got it reconnected. But I had to make quite a few aggressive moves to fast track that, because I probably would have been out nearing 10 days had they had their way.
Okay. That's kind of a low move for them to come out and shut off your power in early winter. I mean, November gets pretty cold in Michigan. You know, what were the average temperatures when you had no power?
On the video that's on the Monopoly page, I think it was in the high 40s that day, if I recall correctly.
Wow. And I see you've also got a video on here. Pickering smart meter explodes. Is that something that often happens with these things, or was that an isolated incident?
I don't know if I should say luckily or unluckily. I have not witnessed it personally or been able to document one, but I have seen quite a few stories about them.
Wow. And
I do have a friend that is a power quality expert. He has seen them. He's got a lot more wealth of knowledge on that end of it than I do, but he has seen the aftermath of them as well.
I do need to say thank you very much to a couple of people who have dropped some super chats in the last few minutes. Michael Kenny, couple of $1 super chats. Thanks, Mike. Jeff Stewart. Jeff Stewart is a fixture in my live chats. Thank you very much, Jeff. I'm glad to see you again. And then, of course, Tracy S. Just when we started our conversation, it's her birthday, and she's in a bar, so I don't know if she's going to hear me when I say happy birthday, Tracy. Thank you very much for that super chat. All right, so you're holding them off. They shut your power off. Both you and your mother, all right, and and that's even more dangerous for an older person. I don't know how old your mom is, but anybody who's older, I mean, that's not a good thing for them to be having absolutely no power in the middle of winter.
Right.
Now, did you both have gas at that time? Like, were you able to heat your house, or were you completely out of luck?
Well, I had petrol. Okay. Luckily for my mom, she had a wood burning stove, so she had that luxury that I didn't. I had to pay both ways for gas.
Wow.
To heat the place up and keep all my freezers cold, because I do a lot of hunting, and
yep.
I'm stocked with venison.
that would have been horrible to lose all that venison. I would have cried for sure.
Yeah, I have a feeling if I lost all that, I could have ended up becoming a cannibal and DTE people on the plate.
All right, so you're without power for about 4 days, and then what happened?
I uploaded another flame video and tagged it to them on their Twitter page, and made it take off quite well in the local area. And within an hour, a truck was in my driveway, and they were all ready to hook me up.
So I think it's safe to say that they were monitoring your social media feeds?
Well, I made sure they got the message. I tweeted it right to them.
I mean, I think that's funny that they're even paying attention. You know, you think with a large company like that, usually they're not so good with one-on-one customer service. But at least they came out and set it up. So what happened when they came out?
The guys were cool. I mean, you can't be mean to the guys that are out there to try to take care of the service. They're just taking orders just like I take orders at my job. I get it. It's the suits in the office, you know.
Yeah.
I said, you guys are okay. I'm not mad at you, but your boss, you know, they're real pricks.
Sounds like it. So
Yeah.
Okay, so they hook up your smart meter, and then what were you able to do?
Well, it was supposed to have been an opt-out meter. They had the radio off stickers on it and everything, and I'm like, this thing is off. They said, yeah, it's off. It's got the stickers, and I'm like,
actually, now let's explain that. An opt-out meter is just an upgraded digital meter, but without the radios in it, or it's supposed to have the radios turned off?
well, currently, there's been a lot of things that have progressed since then.
Okay.
As of right now, the smart meter and the opt-out meter are the same exact meter. It's just the difference between a field tech coming out and lugging onto the communication port and disabling it from his laptop, disabling the radios.
So what? How do they justify the extra cost to you then? I mean, you're paying money so that they will just install a meter that someone did a couple of keystrokes on their laptop. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense to me. It's clearly just a financial disincentive so that people will just say, yes, okay, fine, do this to me.
Right. It's extortion for your health, the way I was looking at it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so they shut it off, they install it, and of course, the first thing you do is go at it with your reader, right? Your smart meter reader.
I did not have one at the time. I don't know why or how. I just knew that the way DTE rolls, they don't dot their I's and cross their T's, stuff like that. And I'm like, something's going to be up with this. I just don't know what yet. And then I sat out there one day looking at that meter because I was still irate and seeing red, just watching what was scrolling over the display. And I saw a no land one day. And just because I have some computer, expertise to me, I'm like, no land? Why is it looking for a local area network?
Yeah.
And it got me thinking. I'm like, I need to find somebody that's got an RF meter and see what's going on with this. And I found somebody and kind of in the movement that had one, but they didn't have the time. They said try to hang out for a month and they would come out. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Just keep in mind, this is very close to my daughter's bedroom window where she sleeps every night. So month went up and I said, okay, it's time to crap or get off the pot. Are you coming to check this out or what? And I also want my mom's checked as well. She's along the way. And they tried basically robbing me and my mother. And I was at that point for that price, I'm like, I'm almost halfway to buying my own. And this person isn't reading anybody else without robbing them. I think I found my calling. I'm going to buy one, and I'm not going to do that to people. And people want to know if these things are off. And and I knew other people that were more than happy to help, get my name out there, get an email out there while I started building the channel. And they spammed me out. And I worked off donations, and I went all over the DTE service territory, scanning meters, documenting bad ones, throwing them up on YouTube, and getting the ball rolling.
So you decided that you were going to take it upon yourself to go ahead and go out and start checking other people's meters. Did you already have like a bunch of friends or your neighbors that you had been speaking with, or?
No, I pretty much did it for me and my mom, and I figured, as long as I put myself out there to the right people that will be more than happy to advertise my free service, they'll come, they'll call, and they did.
Excellent. So what happened next? You went around and started driving to people's houses, or you started a website?
I didn't do a website. I just did the YouTube channel, and I just wanted to basically get a whole cache of these things documented on video. And after I got about 3 or 4 thrown up there, somebody from another group that's, against the 5G and smart meters, they had somewhat of a legal team going, and they were looking to really deal with all the paperwork on it and go after them at the state level with the Michigan Public Service Commission. And I got in, I got tied in with them, and they did all the paperwork, and then they found even more people that needed their meters scanned and tunneled me a bunch of those, and I kept on cracking them.
So what were you guys actually looking to do to DTE? Like, you were filing like a court case? I mean, this is civil, criminal?
The main goal was to get the analog bill pushed.
Okay.
To give the people an option. If you're going to charge us to come out and read a meter, at least let us have the meter that we want and we're comfortable with.
Do you meaning the old style meters, not these new meters that still put out RF?
Right. Yeah, we were all fine with the analog, or even if there was they tried saying that the analogs weren't accurate, or they wore out. Well, these things have been spinning on houses for over 50 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that's going to wear out or not, but fine. Re-gear one and bring it out. And if it makes the people happy, let them have it. You're paying somebody to come out either way. What does it matter what's on the back of the house?
So you start getting these referrals as they were funneled to you, and you didn't charge people. You just drove around the state. Did you have a particular area that you would go to, or did you go up to the UP?
No. I didn't get any in the consumer area. I was mainly focused on DTE, but I told anybody that was in, which is the other power company in the state, Consumers Power, I said, if you're in Consumers Power area and I'm out that way, I'll be more than happy to drop in. But a lot of people knew I was pretty much geared towards hammering on DTE.
So how long were you out there taking readings on the meters? And did you have like a logbook where you were reporting all this information back to this advocacy group that was working on the bill?
Yeah. I still have all the paperwork because I had my own little questionnaire that I drew up before I even got tied in with the advocacy group. Mm-hmm. And just, some basic things. When they got shut off, did they get shut off? Were they part of the original install when they did the neighborhood, or were they a holdout and they got it forced, either we're shutting you off now or you take the meter? All those things I kind of had on a questionnaire, and people were more than happy to fill it out for me.
That's pretty cool. Now, this group, this is We Are the Evidence, right?
No. This was a different group, which there's a whole different... That all went sideways. Like I said, this thing is like probably a 3 or 4 part saga.
Well, so what ended up happening with the bill? I mean, I don't think it went anywhere, did it?
No, HB 4220 did not go anywhere. There was supposedly enough support on the board at the Energy Committee, but nobody seemed to have the cojones to pull the trigger for some odd reason.
Well, what happened? You had said previously you guys actually went to court, or you went through a process. What happened with that?
It's basically an in-house process with DTE. They called it a utility customer hearing. And I didn't like the idea of it out of the gate, but, I'm always the skeptic and I trust nobody.
It's kind of like a binding arbitration with like in-house at a company that you have a grievance with or something like that.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we want you to investigate yourself. Well, I don't have much faith in that.
Yeah.
So that was the route that it went. And the lawyers were shady. Like, our counsel was shady. I didn't like them. I'm like, can these guys? They ain't working for us.
And who provided the lawyers? Did you guys get the lawyer yourself, or were they provided by DTE?
No. They were with the group that I was working with. That, like I said, there's a whole new batch of shenanigans with all that. That's for a later story.
Sure.
And we're still dealing with a lot of that aftermath. So we had our own counsel, and I didn't think they were working for us. And I'm like, man, get rid of these guys. They're bums. We'd do better off on our own than having somebody working against us. And of course, I'm overruled again. And somehow, after it was all said and done, the DTE settled our utility customer hearings, and there was at least 50 people in our group that were affected by it, and there was another group that was kind of piggybacking on what we were doing. I'm not sure how many was in that group, but all of it got settled, and we didn't agree to anything. DTE just settled it themselves.
And what was the end result of the settlement?
They agreed to pay, I believe it was an $840,000 fine. Yeah, $840,000 fine to, I believe, the MPSC, but $750,000 of that was they were able to write off to install these new meters that are supposed to not have any radios in them, and we don't know anything about.
So you haven't had a chance to test any of these ones yet?
No, I have been trying like heck to get my grubby little hands on them, and I'm not having any luck yet. But when I do, I'm sure I'm going to find some shenanigans.
I bet. So now that these things have been in place for a while, and have you noticed anyone who has done anything novel in order to shield themselves from the radiation? Have you seen like a few contraptions on your time going to people's houses?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of makeshift meter guards. A lot of people that didn't want to pay smart meter guard their $130. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of those, and they weren't effective. I'm like, you know what? You're better off just taking this thing off. It's bouncing a lot back at you.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I would never ask to go into anybody's home just because I didn't want to be liable for anything.
Sure.
But some people just kind of like, really, can you just come inside and just walk around? I'm like, fine. And, yeah, I was kind of surprised at some of the things that were going on with some of the apparatus that they were putting on the house, trying to protect themselves. It's actually kind of scary.
In looking at the smart meter guard, I mean, it essentially looks like screen door material.
Yeah,
and a couple of bands of steel.
It's stainless steel. I mean, the construction is nice on it for what it is. A lot of people fail to ground it.
Okay.
That's definitely one thing you want to do, because that shield itself will get saturated and has nowhere to go. But if you ground it, it will, it won't get clogged basically with signal.
So now here's my next question. If you have this shield around whatever it is that you're trying to block, because I see they make one for routers as well. What about the strength? Like if you do it on your router, what kind of a signal are you going to get in the basement or on the third floor?
I was looking at that and I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just turn your Wi-Fi off? But I mean, I guess everybody's got to make money somehow.
Yeah. Well, now here, since seeing that there's some level of excitement about the radiation coming out of your Wi-Fi, have you done any tests on Wi-Fi, like on your own Wi-Fi or on any other type of things in your house that might emit RF?
Yeah. As much as I am an advocate against it, I'm not trying to sound hypocritical. I blame my generation, if anything. I use it, but I do try to, limit the exposure. I do try to remember to turn them off at night, not keep a cell phone right by my head.
Yeah.
Or turn things off. Constantly on my daughter about, not putting her iPad on her lap, because first thing it's going to cook are, your reproductive eggs and stuff like that.
Sure.
And younger people are much more susceptible to the effects of it.
That was my next question. What are generally the effects of these radio frequencies, whether they're from Wi-Fi or from the smart meters?
From my understanding, I'm not a biologist. From what I understand, it actually breaks your DNA. It breaks your DNA strands.
Really?
Yeah.
So, like, breaks it down, or like
From what I understand, it actually like breaks it.
just
Like the ladder, it just that's it.
wow? That's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I actually was going to take a look at the We Are the Evidence wireless harms. Here we go. Electromagnetic sensitivity. I think that's probably just that's the phenomena of being sensitive to these things. Cancers and tumors, fertility, autism, ADHD, and behavioral disorders. Yeah. Well, that's me.
Yeah. I think it's all of us anymore.
I don't know if anybody that has that doesn't have ADHD.
There's so much going on. It's so hard to remain focused on one thing or another.
Oh yeah, our smartphones and all of this like notification society that we live in, it's just destroyed people.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day that said that we like look at our phones like an average of like 170 times a day or something like that. Like people will be anticipating a notification coming up, and so they'll keep looking at their phone, or they have like a phantom vibration syndrome, like your phone is in your pocket and you keep feeling it vibrate even though there's nothing there.
The weirdest thing that you say that is like, I could be thinking about my wife and a text message from her will come in.
There you go.
It's really weird with us.
I'd say that that's more of a psychic connection you guys probably have. But
yeah, it's weird though. It still weirds me out. I'm like,
it's a little freaky.
I don't know.
A little freaky. So I'm looking at here the common symptoms of electromagnetic sensitivity. Headache. I have always suffered from migraines, and I even if it's not a full-on migraine, I tend to get headaches on a regular basis. Tingling in the hands and legs, pain in the head and ears when using a cell phone, cognitive problems, brain fog, heart palpitations, difficulty breathing, sleep disturbances, exhaustion, tinnitus, nosebleeds, dizziness, nausea. Now, Dr. B, I know you're in the audience. I saw you earlier in the program, so this is definitely something that I want to talk to you about when you and your friends come on the show, and even before that, I'll message you after the show. But this is really this is scary stuff, because we are literally being bombarded with radio frequencies all the time. I mean, it's nonstop, constantly, everywhere around us. I've heard about that Wi-Fi signals, they affect the growth of plants. The trees, everything, organic matter basically is just destroyed by it. Yeah. Not cool.
With the 5G though, you can obviously you find everything on YouTube. The 5G, they're actually cutting down like boulevards of trees that shield apartment buildings because the 5G isn't penetrating it.
Yep. Terry Fell just noted that she sent a whole report on frequencies. Yep, that's right, Terry. I didn't actually go over it in specific because we had Cody on the program, and he was talking about 5G. We actually didn't even talk about 5G as much as I wanted to. We ended up talking about his history prior to that, but we spent about a half hour on 5G. I am going to come back and do another segment on 5G, probably tomorrow, now that we're talking about this tonight. But Terry had sent me a whole bunch of information, just volumes of information. Now, but I think the effects of 5G and then these other frequencies, I think that they're like individually, like there's their own set of symptoms that go along with each of them. When you were going from house to house, what was the major symptoms of electromagnetic sensitivity that you saw in people?
A lot of the people that were sensitive, not everybody was sensitive. They were just concerned like myself. I'm not sensitive, and I hope one day I don't wake up and I'm sensitive because I love my tech so much.
Yeah, I feel you.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm able-bodied and I can use this equipment and try to help somebody. And a lot of those people ended up like a lot of vibrations they would talk about.
Okay.
They would say that it wasn't like they could hear it, but it was like noisy. in the house.
Hmm.
And I'm like, but you don't hear it. They said some people claim to hear it, but other people said it was just like an energy that they could feel pulsating or, quaking, vibration. I don't quite understand the whole sensitivity thing. But I just, I try to hear people out and hear, what they would tell me about it and, as best as they could describe it. And I do believe, these people were, being truthful with me.
Wow. All right. So where are we at with this now? What's going on with smart meters here in the state of Michigan? It looks like you guys lost.
It feels like that. I'm hoping that with these new meters, I'll be able to find something else to rag on DTE about and help us further along the analog bill push.
Is there anyone currently still working on it, or is this just something that you're hoping to get together?
Oh, no. There's plenty of people still working. We don't all talk, out in the open about plans of how we're going to attack things or whatnot. But, they still keep me in the loop. And, a lot of them come to me and ask me, what's your next plan of attack? What are you thinking? I'm like, well, I'm just waiting to see one of these new meters and let me do some of my own testing. I'm very creative and, finding one way or the other to find a weakness in something.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the Facebook page, Michigan for Safe Technology. Is that the advocacy group?
That is one of the ones that I actually got me started on doing the meter scans. Janine was Stand Up People. She is sensitive. She has been for years. She is so affected by this that, she's all hardwired computer-wise. At night, she turns off all of her breakers and goes to bed.
Really?
Yeah. She was the first person that jumped in my corner, and she's not even in DTE territory, but she was the first one to start spamming out my email address and getting people in contact with me.
All right, looks like on May 15th, they have Michigan's 5G National Day of Action Rally in downtown Detroit, Spirit of Detroit Plaza. If anyone out there, I saw lots of people from Michigan saying hello in the chat earlier, so if you guys want to check that out, I would be interested to see or to hear from you as to how that went and what kind of information you find, and then share it here on the program. Well, let's see. Did you have anything else that you wanted to tell us, Rob?
Oh, boy, there's so much to do with it. What I did find out was as we were trying to go through all the utility customer hearing cases was we were kind of having a pre-meeting before, more meetings, more hearings. Mm-hmm. And come to find out, DTE is just not Michigan.
Yeah, they're like countrywide, aren't they?
They're pretty darn big, like Ohio, Indiana. I think they're even in Wisconsin. It's either Wisconsin or Minnesota. They're like multi-state.
That was me yelling at the ducks.
I know, I saw.
Only you could hear, though.
Oh, that's funny. Everybody thinks we're crazy right now.
Muffin, when the Muffin every spring, you guys. I'm sorry, I'm going to take a detour here real quick, but every spring she gets this rash like on her back, and like I don't know if it's like pollen or something like that. I mean, it's not fleas. Yep. We get Orkin here at the house, then they get flea treatments, and I know that there's no fleas. But I think that it's got to be some kind of allergy, because her back gets itchy, and I can feel like a couple of bumps that just have come up over the last 2 days, and I've got this hot spot spray that I will spray on her. Okay. And that usually helps. And then I have to give her Benadryl. When I give her Benadryl, then she's not itching, but she's sleeping, and right. then if I don't keep giving it to her every 8 hours, then she's just up all night, So
yeah, they end up liking that Benadryl.
Yeah. You know, so I don't want to just give her Benadryl, 24 hours a day. So, anyways, I got a vet appointment on Monday, and hopefully there's something they can do for her. But, I think
Poor Buffin.
right?
I'm at least happy I finally got to see her though.
Oh yes,
She's a cutie.
she is a cutie. Muffin, come here. Come say hi. She's a great dog. Oh, there she is.
Now, didn't you say she's like over 10?
No, she's 5.
Okay.
She was born in 2014. Cisco, Chi-Chi, he's got to be over 10.
Okay.
My daughter knows, but I can't ever remember his birthday. But I want to say he's about 10 years old.
Oh, he's adorable.
Yeah. She's
That's
a great dog.
great.
Yeah. What's interesting is my guest next Saturday has a dog that looks like it could be Muffin's cousin. Like she's like a dwarf beagle too. Like, but
that's funny.
But mostly black in the face instead of brown. So I think that dog will make an appearance. It'll be great.
Nice.
Oh, look at this. My mom's dogs are reactive to a specific mold that lives in the grass. One just uses a cortisone spray and the other gets shots. All right. Well, like I said, we've got a vet appointment on Monday, so we'll go ahead and check it out.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's not the chemicals that Orkin uses because we get sprayed all year round. And it always is this exact time, like end of April, beginning of May.
Everything starts popping.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like their vaccines damage Muffin. Someone says, yes, I don't want Muffin to get vaccines, but unfortunately I have to get her rabies vaccines because
it's kind of frowned upon if they don't have it.
Yeah, the county would come and take her away, and I can't do that.
No.
But all right, anything else that you can think of that you want to tell the people in the audience? We've got that website, we've got the Facebook, we've got your YouTube. Anything else that you want people to know or see?
No, it's just like I think is this. When we were going through the whole hearings and I found out it was like a multi-state thing, I'm like, this should really be taken to a federal level.
Yeah.
And some of us are working towards that to hopefully get this heard outside of Michigan. Michigan is a seriously corrupt state.
Yes. Yeah. I would have to.
And that's where I think we can actually, put a dent in these guys. And it's not just, this company, PG&E has been nailed on these meters just the same. But all these companies are together, and I do believe it's worldwide. I think it's a lot bigger than what a lot of people give it credit for.
Somebody says, hey, Red Pill, please give this link to Rob and tell him I figured out a way for him to find it. I'll go ahead and open that in a new tab. Oh, shoot, that didn't work. Copy that link. Copy the link. All right, I'll send this over to you on Skype, my friend.
In worst case, they can just go to the Monopoly channel. I do have an email there that people can contact me from also.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So if you live in Michigan and you're interested in having your RF frequencies checked on your smart meter, then you can get a hold of Rob, and he'll be happy to come out. Maybe, help him cover gas if he's got to drive a long way. That'd be nice. I think that's reasonable. But all right, well, Rob, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for coming on the show. And if you have any developments, I would definitely love to hear about it in the future, my friend.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on and helping me get the word out.
Of course. Once again, thank you so much, Rob, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, have a good night, man. I'll see you in the chat.
You too, buddy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, let me send him that link. There we go. Okay, all right. All right, you guys, if you have any questions for Rob, then by all means, I welcome you to get a hold of him at the aforementioned communication methods, and he'll be happy to help out, answer any questions for you. All right, here we go. I'm just getting my chat ready right here. All right, let me move this over. I had a couple other things I wanted to show you guys on Twitter. Need to move my monitor a little bit. All right, so let's see. This is a clip from Joe DeGenova on Fox Business
of the DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz, who, by the way, we have learned has concluded that the final 3 FISA extensions were illegally obtained. The only question now is whether or not the first FISA was illegally obtained, and he apparently, as a result of those disclosures from John Solomon today, which he was unaware of, the Bureau hid those memos from Horowitz. As a result of that, they are doing some additional work on the first FISA. It may be that all 4 FISAs will have been obtained illegally.
Chris Wray is hiding, Jim.
All the FISAs were illegal. We know that. Anybody, if you want to find the information on how to contact Rob, it's in the description of this video down below. So I'm going to leave it there for you guys to go ahead and get. So all of those FISAs are illegal, you guys. Not a single one of those FISAs were acquired legally, because all the information they were predicated upon were complete and utter nonsense. I did have a couple of thank yous I needed to give to my friend God's Guy. He said he's still working late, can't watch now. Much love, bro. Love you too, my friend. Patriot Lady Biker, this was very good. She said, I just love you, Red Pill, and all my Patriot buddies here. Being a part of this community is a big deal to me. Patriot Lady Biker, it's a big deal for me that you are here too. I want to thank you very much for your dedication and for your help in the chat. That really means a lot to me. Love seeing you here. And then also we had Josh Norberg. Josh Norberg, thank you very much for that super chat. You're very welcome, everyone. And let's see, what else? I had a couple other things here. Let me see. Oh, that was included in my last video. That was earlier in the show. Let's see. All right, so did you see that Alexander Downer came out from under his rock to talk to people? Well, this is my buddy Burn Notice, and Burn Notice has a thread here about the deep state, the patterns of the deep state. Let me just readjust my microphone real quick, guys, because I'm like craning my neck around. Let's see. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so these patterns are not new, but we haven't seen them until recently. Some still don't see them. We trusted our leaders, and we believed we were protected. Once upon a time, a wealthy country helped an impoverished country gain independence. There was an immediate dispute about their international borders. The dispute arose because of the massive amounts of income from oil and gas reserves nearby each of them. Foreign ministers from each country developed their new relationship amidst this dispute. The wealthy country's foreign ministry, or minister, promotes one of his long-term staff members to be the director of their country's secret intelligence service. The minister of the wealthy country then insists intelligence staff to spy on the poor country in order to gain inside knowledge for leverage in the oil and gas negotiations. The intelligence staff pretended they are aid workers and placed listening devices in the buildings. This is something they do quite often. The poor country finds out about it and they cry foul, while the minister of the wealthy country then promotes the director of the SIS up to an even higher enforcement agency. He immediately raids the offices of key witnesses in the diplomatic dispute, taking evidence to shut the matter down. 3 years later, the minister of the wealthy country, who is responsible for it all, leaves politics and is employed by a highly paid consultant to be the energy company who has the rights over the disputed oil and gas reserves. A fictional story? No, it's true. Who is the minister of the wealthy country? It's Alexander Downer from Australia, of FISAgate fame and a contact of George Papadopoulos. Who's the poor country? That's Timor-Leste, formerly East Timor. Many Aussies have given Alexander Downer a good working over in the last 12 months, but he deserves this level of scrutiny. Downer is everything. Downer is the poo that just won't flush. Alexander Downer would like to position himself as kind of he's just a head of state. You know, he's just someone hanging out, working for Australia, just happened to run into George Papadopoulos one night, and then George Papadopoulos told him about Hillary and Russia. Well, that's not exactly how it happened. It happened quite a bit differently, actually. So here's a quick article about Alexander Downer. He's defending the FBI tip-off that sparked the Trump-Russia probe. He called himself a warrior for the Western Alliance. Former Australian diplomat Alexander Downer defended sending in the tip that sparked the FBI's investigation of then Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign. In his most extensive interview on the topic to date, Downer gave his version of a conversation he had with Trump campaign aide George Papadopoulos in London in May 2016 that would serve as the catalyst for the FBI's Trump-Russia probe. Well, actually, we also do know now that the FBI's investigation of President Trump started well before that date right there, because I reported on it yesterday. There was an FBI investigation into Trump before the Russia investigation. Downer, who served as Australia's top diplomat to the UK at the time, provided a memo he wrote following the meeting of the FBI more than 2 months later. According to Downer, Papadopoulos mentioned that Russia might have information on then Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton that they could release before the 2016 campaign. Downer disputed claims that the ex-diplomat was part of a conspiracy to entrap the campaign advisor. I don't know why he told me this, but he did, and we reported it, and the rest is history, Downer said in an interview on Sky News. There's no defense for him saying it's part of some weird conspiracy. I mean, it's what he told me. Or that's what he says. I have no idea why he was blabbering this, but if you say that sort of thing to somebody who is part of the Five Eyes intelligence community, I mean, I would regard myself as a warrior for the Western Alliance. Of course, Five Eyes refers to an intelligence sharing agreement between the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. While Downer was critical of Papadopoulos, he said that there was no indication from his May 2016 conversation that the Trump campaign had colluded with Russia to steal or release any Clinton information. There was no suggestion from Papadopoulos, nor in the record of the meeting that we sent back to Canberra, there was no suggestion that there was collusion between Trump or Donald Trump's campaign and the Russians, Downer said. All we did is report what Papadopoulos said, and that was what he thought, that the Russians might release something that could be damaging to Hillary Clinton's campaign at some stage before the election. If you've never heard Alexander Downer speak, we're going to do that right now.
There was no suggestion from Papadopoulos, nor in the record of the meeting that we sent back to Canberra. There was no suggestion that there was collusion between Donald Trump or Donald Trump's campaign and the Russians. All we did was report what Papadopoulos said, and that was that he thought the Russians might release information that could be damaging to Hillary Clinton's campaign at some stage before the election. Now, he didn't have to tell me that. I didn't go to the meeting thinking he was going to even mention Russia in a context like the election campaign. I had no idea what he would say. He chose to say that to me, and he apparently says he said it also to the Greek foreign minister a week or two later. I have no idea why he was blabbering this. But if you say that sort of thing to somebody who is part of the five...
Methinks the lady doth protest too much. Now, pessimistic pomegranates, I've seen you commenting several times on the subject right there about the Logan Act. We're definitely going to talk about that. I've got some thoughts on the Logan Act and exactly what's going on. Alexander Downer kind of sounds like a weenie. Republicans have questioned whether the Papadopoulos tip was sufficient to merit a full-fledged FBI investigation. I think we know that it wasn't enough to merit the investigation. I think that it was simply a ruse in order to justify the already ongoing investigation that was happening. I think Five Eyes has already fessed up to this, and that's exactly why they called President Trump and asked him not to declassify the documents related to these FISA warrants. But we know that President Trump is going to do it. Now, I've said so many times, we got to be patient. We got to be patient. Of course, as long as these people are still walking the streets, they're able to commit crimes or, to enrich themselves, which is the absolute last thing that I want them to do. But I had a conversation with a couple of gentlemen yesterday, Michael J. of Revolution Radio and Scott Bennett, who was an Obama-era whistleblower. I'm going to have some of that interview for the show tomorrow. But President Trump couldn't just walk into office and start putting people in prison because we ran the risk of potentially starting a world war. The UN or the Five Eyes people, they could have said, look, Trump is a dictator along the lines of Kim Jong-un or along the lines of Nicolas Maduro. And now that he's just throwing people in prison, this is like the next Stalin, or the next Adolf. But he's not. We know he's not. Okay, these people, more than likely are guilty of incredible crimes. The second part of that is that if he would have simply started arresting people and putting them in jail, probably the government would have collapsed here. Now, the government's really not that, great when you think about all the horrible things they've done, but we have to have a working government, otherwise there would be anarchy here in the United States. We're going to work on getting things to where they need to be. We're in the middle of that right now. But it is a slow process. The wheels of justice turn slowly. It's easy for us to sit here and say, we want this, we believe this should happen. We just want it all taken care of right now. I've been waiting for this stuff to happen my whole life, guys. Believe me, I'm right there with you. But Papadopoulos claims that on April 26, 2016, Mifsud told him during a meeting in London that the Russian government had dirt on Clinton in the form of thousands of her emails. Papadopoulos has denied telling anyone on the Trump campaign about Mifsud's remarks. He also said he has no recollection of sharing the information with Mifsud or from Mifsud with Downer. Papadopoulos met with Downer and another Australian diplomat, Erica Thompson, at the Kensington Wine Room in London on May 10, 2016. Papadopoulos, who lived in London at the time, had met Thompson several weeks earlier. He said that Thompson's contacted him to set up the meeting with Downer. Downer said in the interview he had no expectation that Papadopoulos would bring up Russia's election-related activities. Now he didn't have to tell me that. Blah, 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 blah. Alexander Downer, I don't trust him. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. I need to give a couple more thank yous, you guys. I need to say thank you to Paul Marshall, who sent me $17.22 on the Cash App. He said, all I know is hell loses. Thank you, Red Pill. Thank you so much. And also I need to say thank you to my friend Vivian. Vivian sent me a donation on PayPal. Thank you very much to both of you. I do appreciate that. So let's see. What else? We got some more information here about this. Sharon Barassa, she says, God bless everyone in the chat. I had my 7th surgery and 2 more to go. I'll try and stay in touch. I hate missing you all. Sharon, I hope everything's okay. Do fill us in on the surgery and, keep checking in. You can always reach me on email, redpill78@protonmail.com. Also, of course, there is Twitter, redpill78. So John Solomon, back to the illegal FISAs. FBI's Steele story is now falling apart because false intel and media contacts were flagged 10 days before the FISA warrant was granted on Carter Page. They knew that Steele was an unreliable witness. The FBI's Christopher Steele sworn story to the federal court fell apart even more on Thursday with the release of new memos and handwritten notes taken by Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Kathleen Kavalek on October 11, 2016. Jeff Stewart, where we go one, we go all. Thank you very, very much. Now, award-winning investigative journalist John Solomon obtained memos from a high-ranking government official who met with former British spy Christopher Steele in October 2016. Who determined that Steele's dirt on Trump was inaccurate and likely leaked to the media. Kavalek flagged this in memos and handwritten notes just 10 days before the first FISA warrant on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page was granted. Recall, the FBI swore to the FISA judge that Christopher Steele's reporting has been corroborated and used in criminal proceedings, and the FBI determined him to be reliable and was unaware of derogatory information pertaining to their confidential human source, who was also working for Fusion GPS, the opposition research firm paid by Hillary Clinton and Pkwy to dig up dirt on Trump. One red flag that Kavalek caught? Steele claimed that payments to those recruited by the Russians to target the election were made out of the Russian consulate in Miami. There's only one problem with this claim. There is no Russian consulate in Miami. In her typed summary, Kvelic wrote that Steele told her the Russians had constructed a technical human operation run out of Moscow, targeting the election that recruited emigres in the United States to do the hacking and recruiting. Real Red Pill 78 Mom says, Happy Mother's Day to all the moms in the audience. In honor of your mother, smash the like button. Thank you so much, Mom. I have a special surprise, you guys. My mom is actually going to be joining us on the show in just a few minutes. So let's finish through these articles on this Trump-Russia collusion delusion. So she quoted Steele as saying payments to those recruited are made out of the Russian consulate in Miami, according to a copy of her summary memo obtained under open records litigation by the conservative group Citizens United. Kvelic bluntly debunked that assertion in a bracketed comment. It is important to note that there is no Russian consulate in Miami. Boom, right there, right there. Kvelic, 2 days later and well before the FISA warrant was issued, forwarded her typed summary to other government officials. The State Department has redacted the names and agencies of everyone she alerted, but it is almost certain the FBI knew of Steele's contact with State and his partisan motive. That's because former Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland says she instructed her staff to send the information they got from Steele to the Bureau immediately and to cease contact with the informer because this is about U.S. politics and not the work of, not the business of the State Department, and certainly not the business of a career employee who is subject to the Hatch Act. Even if the FBI did not receive Kvelic's memos, how did they not catch all of the red flags put out by Christopher Steele? We know the answer. Had the FBI acknowledged Kvelic's memos, they would have been forced to disclose the information to the FISA judges. Kvelic's notes flagged Steele's contacts with the media, notably WAPO and the New York Times. June reporting started, she wrote. New York Times and WAPO have, she added in an apparent reference to the New York Times and the Washington Post. Later, she quoted Steele as suggesting he was managing 4 priorities. Client needs, number 1, FBI needs number 2, Washington Post, New York Times, and source protection, her handwritten notes show. Those same notes suggest that Christopher Steele spun some wild stories to State, including one that the Russians had a plant in D.C. and had assembled an HRC dossier, apparent references to the Democratic National Committee and Clinton. She expounded in her typed memo, the Russians have succeeded in placing an agent in the DNC. The DNC. Steele offered up Kvelic the same lies he put in his 35-page dossier and the same garbage Hillary Clinton pushed out to the public. Trump lawyer Michael Cohen traveled to Prague to meet with Russians. Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort owed the Russians $100 million and was the go-between from Russian President Vladimir Putin to Trump. Trump campaign advisor Carter Page met with the senior Russian businessman tied to Putin. The Russians secretly communicated with Trump through a computer system. Fail. Christopher Steele's claims have been debunked over and over and over again. Even Mueller's report destroyed most of Steele's claims, save for the unverified claim that Trump was peeing on a bed with Russian prostitutes. Did not happen. Last week, it was revealed by memos taken by Kvelic that Steele admitted his client was keen to get his information out to the public before Election Day, revealing it was a political hit job. Kvelic's notes on Steele corroborated twice-demoted Bruce Orr's notes, which revealed the same information about Chris Steele. According to Bruce Orr, Steele was desperate to stop Trump from getting elected. Orr even testified that he alerted FBI and other DOJ officials about potential anti-Trump bias by Steele in August of 2016, well before the FISA warrant was ever granted on Carter Page. The fraudulent dossier formed an essential part of the FBI DOJ obtaining a FISA warrant and 3 subsequent removals on Carter Page. Carter Page was never charged with a crime, so what did the FBI present to the FISA court 4 times in order to obtain 4 warrants to spy on Carter Page for nearly a year? What do you think, guys? What could they possibly have presented to the court? Well, from Dan Bongino, what I heard is that they don't actually present the evidence to the court. All they do is show up and say, we attest to the fact that everything in this warrant is true. Everything here is true. You can trust us. You can trust us because we wouldn't lie to you. Well, we know that that's not true. We know that they have absolutely no problem lying about this stuff because they're willing to do anything to get Donald Trump. We're going to call my mom now, guys. Happy Mother's Day. Here she comes. I hope everyone's ready. And I hope everyone is going to do something special for their mom. What, Mom? She is not available. Hold on, I got to text her. Mom, can you hear me? Can you hear me in the chat? Hi, Mom, it's your son. I'm trying to call you for my live stream. Please answer. Well, Mom, I can't imagine why you wouldn't be able to answer. Let's see. Now, you guys, I just wanted to get your feet wet with the talk that we have tonight about the destruction of this collusion delusion, the FISA warrant. Hold on. Mom, I'm calling you on Skype. You just answer. Do. Okay. We're going to try this one more time now that she knows. Jeff Stewart, happy Mom's Day. Thank you very much. Yep, that's how FISAs work. They just say this is what's happening. John Hanley says, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. 1 second. Mom, why don't you call me on Skype? Hog. Don't worry, I'm not angry. I have a friend who always says, they moved the button. I tried to answer it, but they moved the button. No, they didn't move the button. Mom, I swear, all you have to do is call me on Skype and I'll answer. Don't worry. You won't be on camera. It says something went wrong. What the heck? What the heck? Something went wrong. Well, let me see here. Well, gosh, Mom. What went wrong? What does it say went wrong, Mom? I got to get back to the show. All right, guys. Well, while we are waiting for my mother to figure out Skype, we're going to go on to the next part of the FISA debacle here. So, new evidence shows with certainty that the FBI lied to the court to obtain the FISA warrant to spy on Trump. The FBI did indeed have proof that the Steele dossier was a fraud when they used it to obtain the FISA warrant to spy on candidate Trump, yet they lied to get the FISA warrant. As we were just reading, John Solomon on the Hill reported that State Department employee had evidence that Steele dossier was a fraud. Well, those newly unearthed memos... Oh, I have sign-in trouble. Well, log out and log back in. Okay, so she had the memos. They were recorded exactly 10 days prior. Oh, I feel like this is just a retread. Ah, this is what I wanted to show. Here we are. So the key point is that we all know that the FBI has to hide the fact that they knew the dossier was fake and unverified because they used it in the FISA warrant application to spy on Trump. They also knew that Steele was providing the dossier information to the press before they fired Steele, but they can't let anyone know this because they already stated that they did not know this. In the Grassley letter to Rosenstein at the DOJ and Wray at the FBI, dated January 4th, 2018, Grassley says in an interview that Comey said in March 2017 that Steele was reliable. When asked in March of 2017 in a briefing why the FBI relied on the dossier and the FISA applications absent meaningful corroboration, and in light of the highly political motives surrounding his creation, then Director Comey stated that the FBI included the dossier allegations about Carter Page in the FISA applications because Mr. Steele himself was considered reliable due to his past work with the Bureau. It's definitely not on my end, guys. It's on my mom's end. So, per Grassley's letter, The FBI states that Steele's dossier was similar to an article Michael Isikoff at Yahoo News released in September 2016, but the FBI denied it was the same by stating that the FBI does not believe that Steele directly provided this information to the press. Well, he did provide that information to the press. Note that the FBI does not say Isikoff or Yahoo News, it says the press. Is this what was provided to the FISA court for the Carter Page application? They were intentionally vague. Modus operandi, I can see you, my friend. I think everyone can see you. Now, also looking back at the FISA application, the second paragraph states that the information for the warrant came from the State Department. If the information from the State Department noted above was from Kvelic, this would mean that the FBI knew without a doubt that Steele was speaking to the press before obtaining the Carter Page FISA warrants, but they lied to the FISA court, saying Steele didn't speak to the press. And when they fired Steele afterwards, claiming it was because Steele spoke to the press. The whole FISA scam was as corrupt, creative, and sinister as the allegations that Judge Kavanaugh was a gang, R-A-P-I-S-T. The Democrats, the deep state cons at the FBI, DOJ, State Department, and intel community, and their media are lying liars involved in more corruption and crimes than any others in U.S. history. Let me see. I have an answer from my mom. She needed to log in and log out. That was her problem. Okay, we're going to try calling her again now. All right, guys. John Hanley, thank you very much for that super chat. Hanging or firing squad. Yeah, hopefully that's coming soon. This isn't going to happen, she says. Oh, that's a bummer. Let me see. Hold on. I can actually make this work. 1 second, and I'll get this to work so that we can get her on the line. Red Pill 78 Mom. There we go. This is going to freak her out. Hi, Mom.
Hello. I do not put my face on
Don't worry, no one can see you. I can't hear you. Oh.
Nobody. Don't.
No one can hear you. No one can hear you.
Oh, God. This
all right,
isn't
I
going
love
to
you.
happen.
Now that you've seen me,
Skype is
can you hear
messed
me?
up.
Can you hear me?
I can see you. I can hear you.
I can't hear you. I don't know why it's not working, but happy Mother's Day. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. And I'm really.
I don't know why it's not working. It's so annoying. Okay. Back to the news. Back to the news. Okay. Now, Senator Rand Paul said that the Senate Intel Committee's subpoena of Don Jr. is persecution of the president's family and a mistake for Republicans. I think it's a huge mistake. It is a huge mistake. Hang on, actually, I had something else that I wanted to cover here first. We're going to go right back up here to the front. All right, you guys. This is some good news. This is some good news that I wanted to get. You could hear her. You guys can hear her, but I couldn't hear her. I don't know why it was not working. That was so weird. The Pentagon has approved $1.5 billion for 80 miles of wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. The audio's messed up? Okay. Well, oh, you guys are on a delay. I'm seeing a delay. My mom's no longer on the phone because it did not work. I couldn't hear her on my end. I don't know what's going on. But funding for 80 additional miles of the border wall was approved by the Department of Defense. Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan approved a plan to reallocate $1.5 billion in defense funds for the border. Today, I authorized the transfer of $1.5 billion towards the construction of more than 80 miles of border barrier, he said. The funds were drawn from a variety of sources, including cost savings, programmatic changes, and revised requirements, and therefore will have minimal impact on force readiness. The funds were pulled from the Afghan Security Forces Fund, Air Force programs, coalition support funding, a chemical weapons project, and military retirement savings, system savings. The approval comes nearly 2 months after Shanahan's first allocation approval, which diverted $1 billion in defense funds for 60 miles of border wall constructions between Yuma and El Paso. Another $3.6 billion is anticipated to be pulled from various military construction projects to add to the border wall construction, but details of that plan are not yet known. In March, the Pentagon identified $12.8 billion in 400 military construction projects that could potentially be used for the southern border wall. Shanahan plans to visit the southern border on Saturday. He said the DoD is fully engaged in efforts to solve the border crisis, adding that 4,000 troops and 19 military aircraft are deployed in support of the southern border mission. On Wednesday, General Joseph Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, told the Senate Appropriation Committee's defense subpanel that the departments plan to keep troops on the southern border for the next couple of years. Good job. Using the powers granted by the National Emergencies Act, Trump deployed a national emergency on the border in February after Congress approved just $1.375 billion in border security, permitting only 55 miles of border fencing despite his request for $5.7 billion. And now we've got $12.8 billion. I think that is great news, guys. I think that's one thing. That is a huge win. A huge win, you guys. Huge win. Just one in a number of wins that the Trump campaign, or the Trump team have done. Now, here's some news that it's going to look like bad news at first, but then I'm going to flip the script, and you're going to see how it's actually good news. The FBI has opened a campaign finance investigation into a Trump donor, Cindy Yang, over a $5,400 donation. $5,400. That's not very much money, but the FBI opened a campaign finance investigation into Trump donor Lee Cindy Yang, the founder of a Florida massage parlor chain. This is the same woman who owned the massage parlor that the guy from the Patriots was caught at getting a massage. Apparently, the FBI springs into action over a $5,400 donation that may have come from China, only because it concerns Donald Trump. The Democrats are weaving a new scandal as the Russian collusion delusion dies. China. The Dems will push a new narrative about China influence over Trump as he battles them on trade. The FBI subpoenaed records on Tuesday related to a $5,400 donation, the maximum allowed, to Trump's 2020 campaign from a woman named Bing Peranio, a receptionist at one of Cindy Yang's massage parlors. The Miami Herald reported that feds are looking into whether the donation to Trump's re-election campaign made last year was illegally funneled from China. Happy ending. Investigators obtained a federal grand jury subpoena Tuesday seeking records from Bing Peranio, an employee of Yang's family spa business, who last year contributed a maximum $5,400 to President Donald Trump's re-election effort, according to a source familiar with the probe. Yang came to Peranio's workplace and helped her write the check. Peranio told reporters from the New York Times, who first reported the contribution. Peranio told the Times that she didn't say no. The subpoena asked for any records related to that March 5, 2018 donation and possibly other contributions between 2014 and the present, said the source, who asked for anonymity to discuss an ongoing federal investigation. In a brief phone interview with the Miami Herald, Peranio confirmed that she had received a subpoena and that FBI agents had interviewed her at her home on Thursday. She declined to discuss the nature of the conversation, but did say she did not understand why investigators were interested in her political contributions. "It's not just me," Peranio said. "I don't know why I always get it." According to the Miami Herald, feds are investigating whether Lee Cindy Yang, a naturalized American citizen, reimbursed Bing Peranio for the $5,400 contribution or delivered anything of value to her during that time that would benefit the Trump campaign. It is against the law to reimburse someone for a political donation without disclosing the original donor. It is also illegal to make a donation in someone else's name, only if it concerns Donald Trump, because we know that there's a particular cult whose leader is on trial right now, who was overseeing donations of this type to Hillary Clinton. And people like, what's her name? The blonde-haired chick who lives in New York. I can't remember her name. Agents are seeking records from Peronio, a potential witness in the investigation, that are linked to Yang's husband, their business, as well as Trump campaign entities and Republican National Committee, reported the Herald. Does the FBI do anything else besides investigate Trump, his family, and everyone connected to him? Recall Barack Obama received hundreds of millions of dollars in mystery donations from foreign donors in 2012, yet he was only slapped with a fine by the FEC. Obama's campaign in 2012 didn't ask for the CVV number on the credit cards from the donors. The CVV number is designed to prove the donor is actually holding the credit card at the time of the donation. Furthermore, many donations to Obama's campaign were fraudulent and given in other people's names. For example, the Washington Post reported in 2008 that a woman named Mary Biscup was reported to have donated over $170,000 to Obama's campaign in a series of small donations. The problem? Mary Biscup said she never donated money to Obama's campaign, so someone must have illegally donated in her name. But the FBI is investigating Trump's donor over $5,400? Feel safer yet, America? Yeah, I think that sounds like a ridiculous proposition. But let's think back to what's happened so far. Well, we had the special counsel go gaga on... excuse me, guys. We had the special counsel go gaga on Paul Manafort, give him a 7-year prison sentence for FARA violations. And what did we have after that? We have never had anybody bother to be prosecuted on FARA. Then Paul Manafort gets the book thrown at him. Well, once that's over, then what did we have? We had Greg Craig, an Obama-era lawyer, Obama's former personal lawyer at the White House. He is now in trouble and under indictment for FARA violations. Well, now we have a donation seemingly under investigation for President Trump having to do with China, okay, a $5,400 donation, hardly anything, having to do with China, who we've been told to make sure that we look at. They're the real people that we need to worry about. And then guess what, guys? Well, now we have a rapper indicted for funneling millions of dollars in foreign money to Obama's 2012 presidential campaign. Could this be another setup and then a takedown of the left? Because now they've set the precedent that we are not going to allow this to happen. Okay, and it allows us to take a look at this rapper who funneled millions of foreign dollars to former President Barack Obama. The feds indicted Pras Michael, a rapper from the group The Fugees, on Friday for funneling millions of dollars of foreign money to Barack Obama's 2012 presidential campaign. Parappa the Rappa. Do you guys remember Parappa the Rappa from PlayStation 1 back in the day? Crack, crack, crack the egg into the bowl. That was like my favorite. The Justice Department accused Mr. Michael of funneling foreign money to pro-Obama super PACs without disclosing the origins of the money, which was reportedly tied to Malaysian businessman Joe Low. Joe Low was indicted last year on conspiracy charges related to a scam bilking 1 MBD of hundreds of millions of dollars, but will face additional charges along with Pras Michael. Low, however, remains at large. This is the same situation that had to do with Leonardo DiCaprio. The Justice Department announced Pras Michael was hit with a 4-count indictment, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S. and making foreign campaign contributions. Was unsealed Friday. It was a sealed indictment, you guys. It was a sealed indictment. According to the indictment, between June 2012 and November 2012, Low directed the transfer of approximately $21.6 million from foreign entities and accounts to Michael for the purpose of funneling significant sums of money into the United States presidential election as purportedly legitimate contributions, all while concealing the true source of the money. To facilitate the excessive contributions and conceal their true source, Michael paid approximately $865,000 of the money received from Low to about 20 straw donors or conduits, so that the straw donors could make donations in their names to a presidential joint fundraising committee. In addition, Michael personally directed more than $1 million of the money received from Lowe to an independent expenditure committee also involved in the presidential election of 2012. The indictment also alleges that by funneling campaign contributions through straw donors, you know what, guys, I just saw somebody say that they hate slow mode, so since I'm reading, I'm going to go ahead and turn off slow mode here. Let's see. You guys are adults. There we go. Save changes. Crack, crack, crack the egg into the bowl. All right, slow mode is off. Go for it, guys. Go for it. Slow mode is off. In addition, committee. Okay. The indictment further alleges that in June 2015, Michael submitted a false declaration to the FEC in which he claimed he had no reason to conceal the true source of his contributions to the Independent Expenditure Committee in 2012. Even though Michael knew that the true source of the money was Lowe and that Michael was funneling the foreign money into the election. He is going to get it, you guys. This is now going to go back, and we're going to get more information about this. But I think that the FBI investigation into this leads us directly to this. The left cannot act outraged that we went after this guy if we're also going after someone who may have potentially injected $5,400, a paltry amount in comparison to $21.6 million. Let's see here. Now, this morning I was getting a bagel, and I saw on CNN, the Airport News Network, that this restaurant always has CNN on. It's so annoying, but I'm slowly red-pilling them. But now CNN is upset with Rudy Giuliani for traveling to Ukraine. They're trying to say that he is essentially doing the thing that they said that the Trump campaign did before, colluding with a foreign government. Now, this is not the case. We know this. We know that the Ukraine actually helped the former administration try to dig up dirt and to help Hillary Clinton. And we know that Joe Biden's son profited from his relationship with his father, and Joe Biden went to Ukraine. It's a whole horrible mess. Whole horrible mess. But after leaving office in 2017, Vice President Joe Biden bragged about strong-arming the government of Ukraine to fire its top prosecutor. Joe Biden made the remarks during a meeting of foreign policy specialists. Biden said he threatened Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko in March 2016 that the former administration would pull $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees, sending the former Soviet republic toward insolvency if it didn't immediately fire Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin. Biden suggested during his talk that former President Obama was in on the threat. In April, John Solomon revealed what Biden did not tell the audience. Joe Biden had Poroshenko fired because he was investigating Joe Biden's son Hunter. Poroshenko was investigating $3 million in funds that were being transferred out of Ukraine and into accounts in the United States at that time. Joe Biden had him fired. John Solomon joined Hannity in April to drop this bomb on the Biden family. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
The prosecutor that he demanded gets fired, or he will not give them $1 billion, and they got 6 hours to make a decision, and he's on tape, as you just heard, bragging. Hang on, I gotta fix my tie. He's on tape there bragging how he got the guy fired. Well, who was that prosecutor investigating at that moment? John Solomon.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. At that very moment, Ukrainian authorities tell me they were preparing to request an interview with Hunter Biden to question him about more than $3 million of funds that were being transferred out of Ukraine into accounts in the United States tied to Hunter Biden and his company. And when the vice president intervened, the prosecutor got fired. They moved the case out of the prosecutor's office to another agency. They shut it down, and it was swept under the rug, never to be investigated again.
Okay, so his son was being investigated. Do we know how much money? Now, I understand his son was actually on the Air Force too, right?
This is going to China. That's a different trip. Yeah, Peter Schweitzer did some great work back about a trip, I think it was in 2014, where Hunter Biden went on the same trip with his dad to China and walked away with a big payday in China as well. So there's a pattern here of Hunter Biden being in the countries where the vice president has a foreign policy portfolio and somehow walking off with some nice paydays.
Okay, so they're walking off with a nice payday. Hunter Biden obviously is there in China on Air Force Two, at least in that one instance. Right. As Peter Schweitzer talks about. But in this particular case, so the vice president of the United States tells them, you fire the prosecutor, and we know beyond any doubt that that prosecutor that he's bragging about, that he got fired, or he was going to use American taxpayer money as leverage, that he did it to save his son from the prosecutor who was investigating him?
That's certainly what the Ukrainian authorities believe. And they're telling me tonight, Sean, that they've been trying to get this information to the U.S. Justice Department for more than 6 months and have not yet been able to get a receptive audience. But they have a lot more evidence than what they told me in the interviews in this column. And I think that they're very concerned that a sovereign nation, the United States, interfered in a legitimate investigation. And it isn't the first time, they say. They said this was a regular practice of the U.S. Embassy to get involved in their criminal investigations and tell them who they could and couldn't prosecute.
Do we know how much money we're talking about here?
Well, we know for sure because FBI, separate of the Ukrainian investigation, the FBI introduced records in a trial last year in New York City that showed that Hunter Biden's company got at least $3 million, actually a little bit more, almost closer to $3.2 million from Burisma Holdings, the natural gas company in Ukraine between 2014 and 2015, the very same time that Joe Biden was in charge of all U.S.-Ukraine relations. Remember,
Oh my goodness, you guys! I don't know what happened. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I don't know what happened. I'm back, you guys. You'll hear me in just a second. I'll see this. I will see you realizing that here in just a moment. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. I just restarted my mic. Hopefully you can hear me now. Can I get some 5x5s? China hacked my stream. China hacked my stream. I'm back. I'm back. Okay, great. I'm back. So this was a horrible idea. Joe Biden is probably one of the least intelligent politicians that have ever graced the face of this earth. John Solomon has done tremendous investigative research to get over this. Now, Giuliani is going to Ukraine. He is going to Ukraine because this is the kind of thing that the government should be investigating. Did a foreign government collude with this other foreign government? Did the United States collude with this other foreign government to help the opposition party, which would have been Hillary Clinton compared to that? It was China, guys. China hacked my stream. So Fox News reported that Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani said in an interview Thursday he plans to travel to Ukraine to push the country's leadership on several probes that may prove very, very helpful to President Trump, as Republicans continue looking to turn the tables on Democrats and prove that they, not the GOP, were the party that improperly conspired with foreign actors. If Giuliani can prove this, we've already had this huge investigation into President Trump over this Russian delusion collusion. We've set the stage that this is what you have to do. If you've got evidence that a foreign government was colluding with our government or someone in a former administration, you've got to go after him. Hold on, I have to cough. And we're back. So, I believe that this is all part of setting the stage, you guys. This is all part of setting the stage. Now, Mueller has apparently stated that he will not testify before Congress next week. And of course, Jerry Nadler says he's going to subpoena him. Democrats were eyeing a May 15th testimony. However, those tentative plans never materialized. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler told reporters on Friday that Mueller will not testify before the committee next week. We're talking to the Department of Justice. We're talking to Mueller. Hopefully he will come in. It won't be next week. The New York Democrat then floated a subpoena threat. He will come at some point. If necessary, we will subpoena him and he will come. NBC News reported last Friday that House Dems were in discussion directly with Mueller's team. Previously, the Judiciary Chairman Committee had been in discussions with the Justice Department regarding Mueller's hearing. Attorney General Bill Barr said last Wednesday during the Senate hearing that he does not object to Mueller testifying before Congress. However, President Trump doesn't want the special counsel to be given another opportunity to smear him and his associates. Trump said after spending more than $35 million over a 2-year period interviewing 500 people, using 18 Trump-hating angry Democrats and 49 FBI agents, all culminating in more than 400-page report showing no collusion, why would the Democrats in Congress now need Robert Mueller to testify? Why, guys? Why would they need this? Why would they need this? Why would they need this? I can't think of a possible reason, a good reason. There's no reason. All right, so the next article. Back to the Democrats on the committee. Do you guys remember this hack right here? Former Obama communications director. She said, I hope House Democrats break the rules in order to take down President Trump. Former White House comms director Jen Psaki said Wednesday that she hopes the House Democrats break the rules to take down Trump. These left-wing authoritarians don't even try to hide their lawlessness anymore. Nadler is, I hope he's not following the rules. Yes, the legal rules, but we need to be more rule breakers on the Democratic side and not play by the game that has always been played because we are dealing with Donald Trump. So when it comes to Donald Trump, you guys, it's okay to break the law. We already know that. We know the Democrats feel this way. Let's listen to Psaki.
Nadler is, I hope he's not following the rules. Yes, the legal rules, but we need to be more rule breakers on the Democratic side and not play by the game that has always been played because we're dealing with Donald Trump.
I don't care how Jen Psaki's name is pronounced. I'm saying it incorrectly on purpose. President Trump on Wednesday asserted executive privilege over the full unredacted version of Mueller's report. Thank goodness. And the House Dems voted to hold AG Barr in contempt of Congress for giving or refusing to give Congress the full report and the underlying grand jury material. Nadler and the Dems voted to hold Barr in contempt for following the law. This is the current state of affairs in our country. The Dem-controlled Judiciary Committee, chaired by Representative Gerald Nadler, held a vote Wednesday morning and voted on party lines, 22 Dems to 12 Republicans. The Justice Department hit back at Nadler and the Dems in a statement on Wednesday. We read that article here on my program, so we know what it said. We know about Alexander Downer. We know about the lying on the FISA court. We know that Senator Rand Paul thinks it is criminal persecution of President Trump's family and a mistake for Republicans. I could not believe that the Republicans are allowing for Donald Trump Jr. to be brought back before this committee after, 30 hours of testimony? On Wednesday, dummy Senator Richard Burr, he's a Republican in name only, Rhino, subpoenaed Donald Trump Jr. to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee in an attempt to continue to harass the president's family. Several Rhino Republicans support Burr and his latest attempt to harass Donald Trump Jr. Rand Paul said, I think it's a very unfortunate thing. I think it's persecution of the president's family. This would not go forward without Republican complicity. So I think it's a mistake for Republicans to keep putting the Trump family through this, and I really think they ought to drop it. Take it away, Rand.
I think it's a very unfortunate thing. I think it's persecution of the president's family. We spent $35 million investigating this. This would not go forward without Republican complicity. So I think it's a mistake for Republicans to keep putting the Trump family through this. And I really think they ought to drop it. It's completely over. The investigation's 2 years, $35 million. They said there wasn't any crime. So I think it's time for this to be over. Senator McConnell has said case is closed. I think it's about time all Republicans get on board with that.
I think that Donald Trump Jr. should not even show up, but there is no sound. I have sound, and I see other people said that they have sound. Refresh. Sorry. Something, it's the Chinese again, you guys. It's the Chinese. Maybe it's the Russians. I don't know. I don't think Donald Trump Jr. should show up. Dick Blumenthal, Da Nang Dick, he said that he wants to throw Donald Trump Jr. in jail if he doesn't show up. He said that he wants to fine Donald Trump like $25,000 a day. You know, what else can they possibly do to this man? These people will go to jail, you guys, but I do believe that they have to expose themselves entirely. Now, Jim Comey did a roundtable or some type of thing on CNN the other day, a town hall style appearance with Anderson Cooper, and he said that Trump could be indicted after his presidency. Well, because we know that he can't be indicted while he's president, so they're going to maybe try to do it afterwards. So Comey, who leaked classified memos to the New York Times through a friend, called the president a chronic liar and said Trump likely committed crimes that he could be indicted for after his presidency. Anderson Cooper threw leaker Comey a softball and asked him, do you think he, Trump, should be charged when he's out of office based on what Mueller has shown? Comey said the Justice Department should take a serious look at that. Anderson Cooper pressed Comey and asked him if there is evidence there to prosecute Trump post-presidency. Sure looks like it's there, and with respect to at least a couple of these episodes of obstruction, Comey said, referring to Mueller's garbage report. Comey also lied and said the Russians wanted to help Donald Trump win the 2016 election because Vladimir Putin hated Hillary Clinton. This guy was the head of the U.S.'s premier law enforcement agency. Let that sink in. President Trump must take off the gloves and fight back against the coup plotters. They want him and his family jailed. Earlier this week, President Trump called the Russia witch hunt, which Comey played a big role in, a treasonous hoax. And it is. And it is. Let's listen to Jim Comey.
You think he should be charged when he's out of office?
I think
based on what Mueller has shown.
Well, I think the Justice Department will have to take a serious look at that. Whether it's a wise thing to do to a former president, I don't know. That's a harder question, a much bigger question than the facts of the case.
But do you think the evidence is there to prosecute?
Sure looks like it's there with respect to at least a couple of those episodes of obstruction.
I want you to meet Andrei Strakov. He works here in Washington as a program director for the Grant Training Center, which is an organization helping professionals.
There was a woman who asked Comey during this town hall, she's something like, what do you call it when you send a confidential informant into a campaign to gather intel? Would you call that spying? And he was like, well, the FBI doesn't spy, they investigate. We investigated at the FBI. BS, they spied. And President Trump slammed James Comey on the 2-year anniversary of his firing. He said he was a disgrace to the FBI. James Comey viciously attacked President Trump Thursday evening. He called the president a chronic liar and even suggested he may be indicted. Comey said Thursday that with Anderson Cooper that Trump committed crimes and obstructed justice. Comey, who leaked classified memos to the New York Times through his good buddy so that they could appoint a special counsel, was actually fired by President Trump 2 years ago to the day today. Trump fired back at Comey Thursday night after his appearance on CNN and said Comey will go down in history as the worst FBI director in history. James Comey is a disgrace to the FBI and will go down as the worst director in its long and once proud history. He brought the FBI down. Almost all Republicans and Democrats thought he should be fired, but the FBI will regain greatness because of the great men and women who works there. Comey knows he's in trouble. I believe that. I think Comey knows he's in big trouble. Fox News legal expert and author Greg Jarrett joined Sean Hannity on Thursday night to discuss the recent information. Hang on, actually, that was supposed to be the next episode right here. Greg Jarrett. So Comey knows he's going down, Greg Jarrett said. He's on the canvas for a 10 count. He's in deep, serious legal jeopardy. There is documentary evidence now that proves conclusively that James Comey was lying to a FISA court. And of course, tonight on CNN, when you played the clip where he said he went by the book, that's also a lie to the American public. You know, James Comey is now swinging these wild haymakers because he knows that very soon he's going down on the canvas for a 10 count. He is in deep, serious legal jeopardy for a number of things: lying to the FISA court, leaking government documents that he stole, starting an investigation without credible evidence, spying on the Trump campaign, and making false statements to Congress. I hope he saved all the money he made from the phony book of his talking about liars and lying people, because he's going to need the money for his defense team.
And John's documentary evidence now proves conclusively that James Comey was lying to a FISA court. And of course, tonight on CNN, you played the clip when he said he went by the book. That's also a lie to the American public. You know, James Comey is now swinging these wild haymakers because he knows that very soon he's going down on the canvas for a 10 count. He is in deep, serious legal jeopardy for a number of things: lying to a FISA court, leaking government documents that he stole, starting an investigation without credible evidence, spying on the Trump campaign, and making false statements to Congress. I hope he saved all of the money he made from that phony book of his talking about liars and lying people, because he's going to need the money for his.
So I've got half the people saying that there's no sound, and then the other half of the people saying that it's too loud. I'm sorry, guys. I won't play any more video for the rest of the program. We've only got another 7 minutes left. But I think Comey does know that he's in a lot of trouble. I think that Comey is in major, major trouble. So, okay, so maybe people are trolling me. I don't know, guys. Maybe your volume is too loud. I don't know, guys. I don't know. One more article here. Coup plotter Rod Rosenstein takes a veiled shot at James Comey during his farewell ceremony. Coup plotter Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein gave a farewell speech on Thursday following his resignation from the Department of Justice and lectured his fellow colleagues on decency and justice. "I represent the United States," Rosenstein boasted on Thursday. Rosenstein, who plotted to wear a wire and oust President Trump by invoking the 25th Amendment, had the nerve to say this department stands apart from politics. "For us, the rule of law is not just a talking point," he said. "Many people have the luxury of dismissing facts that are inconsistent with their pre-existing beliefs, but we face the exacting scrutiny of a federal courtroom." Rosenstein then took a stealth shot at fired FBI Director Comey when he criticized officials he said trade virtue for the appearance of virtue by departing from the long-held traditions at the Department of Justice. "We should exercise caution whenever unpleasant circumstances tempt us to disregard timeless principles," Rosenstein said, pulling a memo he wrote recommending Trump fire Comey. "It is most important to follow the rules when the stakes are highest. Sticking with tradition is usually the best course. Not always, but usually." Former AG Sessions, current AG Bill Barr, and FBI Director Wray all applauded Rosenstein and shook his hand after he concluded his farewell speech. Now, I am not going to play this video because this is from ABC News and they use footage from Associated Press UK. And every single time I put up a video that is used from this source, they file a copyright claim on me. So, unfortunately, we're not going to hear his words. But the last thing we're going to go over, guys, this is a video that my good friend God's Guy sent me earlier today. This is about the last Trump. Trump is the last trumpet. My sound is so low that your volume is up as far as it goes. Yeah, I can't make it any louder, guys. Unfortunately, this is as loud as it goes. So we have all these signs of the rapture coming, all right? And we had these 4 blood moons. We had the solar eclipse here. We had the American solar eclipse. There was the sign of the revelation that came through the sky. We had the blood moon over Israel. The last Trump is right here in these years, all right? So from 2017 until 2024, because in 2024 we've got the American eclipse. This is not the only information here, but there's all these 7s that come up with President Trump. Let's see, where did all those 7s go? Oh, that's the last part that I want to show you. Okay, here we go. Let me back this up. And I'm going to play it without any sound. All right, so President Trump will have 2 terms. At the end of his second term is when we are going to have basically this day of the rapture. So Donald Trump was born exactly 700 days before the founding of Israel on May 14th. His first full day in office, he was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old. He was elected on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's 7th year, 7th month, and 7th day in office. He beat Hillary Clinton by 77 votes in the Electoral College by 7 faithless electors. Exactly 7 months later from his first full day in office on January 1st, 2017, a total solar eclipse occurred since the nation was formed in 1776 to be seen exclusively by the United States. What else? There's more sevens. More sevens coming up. All these most recent events occurred in the Hebrew year of 5777. In the 7th month, on July 11th, 2018, in the 77th week since Donald Trump's inauguration, he was the 777th richest person in the world, according to Forbes. Can't believe how many sevens there are. What else? This is a 7-year period from 2017 to 2024. 7 full years as president. Trump is the trumpet. Now, here comes the really crazy part, you guys. Remember my show where I talked about Keck and Pepe the Frog, and there was that post on 4chan. Someone posted, Donald Trump will be elected president, and the post was 7777777. It was all sevens. Everything in President Trump's presidency, all of these signs are occurring with sevens. This is it, guys. We may be in the end times. Meme magic converges with the book of Revelations. All right, now if you want to know more about this, you can go and watch this video, or you can go watch the summary of this video by my good friend God's Guy. And everything comes up sevens, you guys. Everything comes up sevens. This could be it. I don't know. If it is, I'm ready. But this is it. Perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. Not going to tell you. No man knows. Yep, you're right. No man knows. However, we can look at the signs, and we can try to come to some type of agreement on the information. But it doesn't matter either way. If it's coming, it's coming. I'm ready. However, it's okay. All right. So, yep, pessimistic pomegranates. It's almost time. All right. We're here. We're here. Don't worry. All right, guys, I think that is all I have for you tonight. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Thank you for joining me for Friday night live stream. Good luck, everyone, and God bless. Love you guys.